We are going to speak about another research paper that combine SCAPS-1 dimension with machine learning to accelerate the discovery of whole transport layer free carbon-based perovskite solar cells. This paper published in Advanced Theory and Simulation, which is a Q1 journal, Scopus index. In this paper, they focus on cesium-2 PTI6 perovskite type, which is a B or a P perovskite type, to build a new structure, which is wholly transport layer free carbon-based perovskite solar cell. This type of solar cells distinguished by its low cost and its stability because of the use of carbon and because of the losses of whole transport layer. In this study, they optimize for carbon electrode. They use 4 type of carbon electrodes, which is graphene CP with 5 electron volt, graphene only with 4.9 electron volt, graphene oxide with 4.8 electron volt, and biocarbon with 4.5 electron volt. And they use tin dioxide as a ETL, titanium dioxide, LPSO, and WO3 as 4 types of ETL to optimize ETL, and use CS2 PTI6 perovskite as a perovskite or a P perovskite type. They optimize ETL for its layer, doping density, and defect density, and they optimize perovskite for its thickness and doping density. Overall, they achieve a power conversion efficiency of 15.5, which is a very good power conversion efficiency for such whole transport layer free carbon-based perovskite solar cells. In addition, they combined the results or the data collected from SCAPS to build a machine learning model, which is a random forest model, to determine the relative importance of each factor on this cell efficiency, and they achieve an accuracy, a very high accuracy, and R square of 0.93, which is a very good value for machine learning. Next, they first start with a plot different type of machine learning to determine which machine learning model is the best to predict the efficiency of this solar cell. And they use linear regression, KNN, random forest decision tree, and ANN, and they determine R square, root mean square error, and means absolute error values for each one. And based on this, they found that random forest achieve a very good R squared value. Next, about the methodology, they started to discuss machine learning algorithm methodology, they first simulate cells using SCAPS-1 dimension and generate data. Next, they use this data after prepare this data and select the features and determine bar conversion efficiency as a target. They split the data for 80 to 20 as a training and test set, and they train two models, random forest and decision tree regressors, and they evaluate the model. They plot the figure of parity. They first compare random forest and decision tree to determine which is better in term of accuracy and cost. So they plot accuracy versus time, and they analyze the cost in addition to the model accuracy, and they then and finally predict and incite the key parameters affected this cell efficiency to guide the future design. First, here they plot the band gap alignment or energy level diagram for the whole transport layer free solar cell they design. They use FTO as a glass substrate. They use 4 type or tie optimize for 4 type of ETLs with different band gaps and the perovskite and another 4 type of carbon electrodes. About the results, they first validate their initial work with previous experimental and theoretical work for carbon-based perovskite solar cells, and they achieve initially a theoretical efficiency of 12.48, which is comparable with other experimental and theoretical previous work. And so then they study different carbon electrodes. They plot the electrical metrics for 4 different type of carbon electrodes, and they achieve the best efficiency of 12.3 from a graphene carbon black electrode with a fill factor of 75.17, V open circuit of 0.573, and J-short circuit of 28.648. So they use this carbon electrode in the following simulation they did. First, about after the impact of carbon electrode and the cell output, they study the band gap alignment the band gap alignment of perovskite with the 4 ETLs that they suggested before. Here they plot the alignment of the band levels or the energy band levels of the 4 ETL types: LPSO, titanium dioxide, tin dioxide and WO3, and they came as follow. After that, they determined the electrical metrics for each ETL type for the cell with different ETL types, and they found that titanium dioxide achieved the best efficiency with approximately 12.97. Next, they study or plot the generation and recombination rate of the cell, which came as follow. That we note that recombination generation came at the position during the perovskite layer, and recombination came in different places during the cell, but the lowest recombination rate here came from titanium dioxide. So we can understand why bar conversion efficiency of titanium dioxide became the best here. Then they optimized for absorber layer thickness and donor density. They study the donor density or the doping density with thickness as a contour plot with perovskite thickness. So we found that as perovskite thickness increase, the J-short circuit increase, and especially with the very low amount of doping density. The same for the bar conversion efficiency. And about the fill factor, it is not affected a lot with the thickness. It's affected more by the doping density. About the V open circuit also, it affected by thickness and doping density from the range 0.55 to 0.59. Next, they optimize absorber layer defect density and found that by defect density increase, which is acceptable results, by defect density increase, the efficiency will decrease. And they also study the ETL thickness with the ETL doping density and find that ETL thickness does not affect the efficiency. Doping density affected efficiency. ETL doping density affected efficiency more than. Finally, they plot the initial and final GV curve and quantum efficiency curve, and the optimized parameter for both ETL and perovskite layer came as follow, and the final and optimized solar cell came with efficiency of 15.5, fill factor of 80.04, V open circuit of 0.59, and J-short circuit of 32.4. They also use these results to predictive performance. They integrate this data to machine learning for predictive performance modeling, and they plot the figure of parity for the efficiency with very good fitting between the predicted and actual work conversion efficiency, and they plotted the feature importance with using this model, and found that perovskite thickness came in the first ray, in the first level, or in the first rate, as a factor affected the solar cell efficiency, followed by defect density, perovskite defect density, then the band gap of the ETL, the electrode wave function, the donor density of the ETL, and the donor density of, or doping density of perovskite, and finally the ETL thickness in the last rate. Here is some they plot the figure of parity again, but using the root mean square error values.